Hello there, guys, and welcome to Daily Update. Well, this is a late night stream, and I hope you guys are all okay. Yeah, welcome to Daily Update. So basically, we're just coming from the inauguration of the president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, after the GNU decided that they are signing together, even though Helen Zille is exposing them left, right, and center regarding their understanding for the GNU. They are continuing on that relationship, and it's for Ramaphosa to appoint the new cabinet. So in the next 2 days, it can be tomorrow or Friday, but he has no time. He must go on and appoint his cabinet. I'm looking for actually tomorrow night where he's going to be appointing his government, because at the moment he's the only person. He has to find people as soon as possible to be able to be placed on those positions. But now, before we even go to Ramaphosa, there's something interesting about the DA and their members. What's trending on Twitter at the moment is a guy called Ronaldo Goes. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but this guy is a DA member, and he's been sworn in as a member of parliament. But now the issue in that is that the guy is racist and homophobic. He's been called out for his actions, and I'm not going to play this clip because it's really not right. But he's been called out for his action, and the guy tried to defend it by saying that it is an old video, as he was saying here, a snippet of a video that I posted 16 years ago, back in 2009, when I was young and still a student, has been recycled and posted on social media over the last few days. I addressed this snippet in 2016 and again in 2020 when approached by the media when it was posted on social media. This was at the time when the President Zuma and then youth leader Malema were singing songs about killing people based on their race. Before this and before these snippets were used publicly against me, I posted a lengthy Facebook post from 2013 in which I apologized for how I delivered my message in my videos. Angry, hostile, confrontational, and it says crass. I refute any claims of racism or being a racist. I can, however, see how my message was distorted in the way it was delivered by me, and I take full responsibility for the actions of my younger and immature self. You know, the reason he wrote this message is because someone started a petition to remove him from parliament. And if we are going to check that petition, it's probably going around. Let me just check. Okay, before the petition. So I'm not going to play this clip, but in this clip, which is just been released by IOL, the guy is not only speaking about things that are small, he's actually using the K word. He's actually using homophobic word, kill this, kill that. And this person is a member of parliament in the DA. That is something we really need to speak about in terms of the fact that why are we being taken? People are complaining about the relationship of the ANC and the DA. There has not been a message or a post from the DA speaking about the behavior of this man. He's on YouTube. He's a YouTuber. Gets money on YouTube, and he says he's doing some donations helping the poor. But how do you help the poor when you are so racist? And people should accept the fact that this is a member of parliament of the DA that is in coalition with the ANC of our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, who has just been inaugurated. I have my views that some of them I can't even say, but it seems like the DA is in the wrong position. If they are not going to call him out or even remove him, we must be very worried. I'm just trying to check if there's any update from the DA in terms of what this guy has said and what this guy has done. Nothing about it. All they're doing is cheering the President Ramaphosa. Let's hear what John Steenhuisen has to say.
Government of National Unity.
Yes, here it goes. And a wonderful day, I think. Peaceful transfer of power. The people have spoken. We had an election. The results have been accepted. No tanks on the streets. Nobody clinging to power, despite the fact that they've lost a majority. And I think a very mature way forward from the political parties. The voters said, we're not giving any of you a majority. You must work together. And we've entered into this relationship in that spirit, with an open hand and an open heart to serve the people of South Africa, who now need us more than ever before.
Yeah, we're inaugurating the president today. Am I speaking to a possible deputy president?
Well, I think it's far too premature to speak about those things. I mean, once the president's been inaugurated today, we'll start the discussions around the composition of the cabinet and what that would look like. For us, it's not really about positions. It's about being able to be in areas where we can serve and deliver on our manifesto. We set out a 7-point manifesto to the people of South Africa about how we would rescue South Africa. The key things that had to be done over the next 5 years to get South Africa off this high unemployment, low growth, high debt trajectory and onto one of hope, prosperity and opportunity and inclusiveness for more South Africans.
So that is the so-called incoming deputy president speaking at the inauguration of President Ramaphosa. We just have to be honest. The DA has found itself in the position that they've all been waiting for all these years. For example, Helen Zille just exposed the ANC and Fikile Mbalula by saying that they do not read. There was a document between the ANC and the DA that was a formation of the GNU. And Helen Zille went on SABC to say that it is impossible for Fikile Mbalula to invite the Patriotic Alliance into the GNU without consulting with the DA. Fikile did not know about that information. The ANC, it seems like they went to invite people into the GNU without consulting with that paper. Helen Zille goes to say that there is no way that they are going to invite people in that without consulting with that. Again, exposing the ANC for what they are, not giving time to read. They are quick to call people to that GNU because it seems like to them, they don't even know what is GNU. They have formed something. They're probably scared to go on with it because they might be feeling like whatever we might want to do, it might cause us problems. So this is the interview that Helen Zille had with SABC and was speaking about what Fikile said.
Pass through a resolution letting that government of national unity. Is there ever going to be a point where the ANC is able to pass through a resolution, let's say in cabinet or about the executive, without you giving it the green light as the Democratic Alliance?
Clement, we will represent at least 30% of the seats in the government of national unity, not 20, 30. The ANC will represent at least 60% of the government of national unity, but you have to do it looking at all the parties that are going to be in the government of national unity.
Yeah.
And it's only the parties in the government of national unity, so we're going to have 30% of, for example, all the seats if they do it by proportional representation and take the electoral results into account, which we've got there. But you're absolutely right. Without the Democratic Alliance, the ANC can't reach 60% of the seats in the National Assembly occupied by the government of national unity parties. It's complex, but you are right.
And if the ANC then brings in parties like the IFP and the Good Party and the PA and the PAC, who have now signed this document as well, do they reach that 60%?
No, let me say this, that the ANC can't bring people in that they feel like bringing in. This is another thing that Fikile doesn't seem to understand, because it says that in keeping with the spirit of an inclusive GNU, it is agreed that the composition shall be discussed and agreed amongst the existing parties whenever new parties decide to be part of the GNU. Now, agreed means by sufficient consensus. So it's not the ANC that gets to invite everybody, as Fikile seems to think. He keeps on actually making public statements about this one's joined and that one's joined, but he must read clause 24 of the document that he signed.
Hold on.
That is Helen Zille exposing the ANC for what they are currently doing, not reading the documents, but they can run to claim that they are in charge and this is what they want to do. We are in trouble. Well, I started this live stream by focusing on the racist DA member of parliament, and now speaking about Helen Zille. Firstly, I think that racist guy, racist and homophobic, who is a member of the DA must release a statement calling him out for his actions, and also Parliament should make sure that they remove him from that house. He must never be anywhere close to politics. The closest he must be to politics must be on YouTube, where he does every time. That's where he must be. He must not be allowed because he's a danger to South Africa. We don't need people like that. And surely, if the DA is serious about playing a role in government, they should deal with such matters because we don't need that. Anyway, let us go into the issue of cabinet. Ramaphosa is the president, inaugurated. Now he's the official, the only man in South Africa who has a position. He is the man who must go and appoint the rest of these people. Who is going to be the deputy president? If you look at how things are, the GNU dictates how Ramaphosa must look at appointing the members. He mustn't just go out of the box and come up with someone. He must sit down and be able to say that, I want this person to lead us. Remember, what happened in Parliament last week is that the ANC received the Speaker of Parliament, and the DA received the Deputy Speaker. The ANC received the President of the country. Surely, the DA will have to receive the Deputy President. If not the DA, it has to be the IFP. The founders of the GNU is ANC, DA, and IFP. The ANC, if they come with Paul Mashatile, it can happen that Paul Mashatile will be rejected by the DA. We know that the DA goes with the News 24, which doesn't want Paul Mashatile. So it's obvious that when Paul Mashatile is brought forward by the ANC, DA is going to reject Paul Mashatile. IFP might run along with the DA because that is their mate. Now, who do we appoint? John Steenhuisen or Tlhabisa? Velenkosi Tlhabisa of the IFP, which I think we are about to see John Steenhuisen being given the position of the deputy president. If not him, 40% chance is that Velenkosi might be the deputy president. Paul Mashatile will never again be the deputy president of the country because at this point, it's no longer about the free will of Ramaphosa. It is about who do I consult with. Actually, this is what Jacob Zuma said about this whole thing, the GNU, when he was addressing the media on Sunday regarding the development. And he actually said that they are finally going into parliament. You might wonder, why were they not sworn in by when the rest of the members were being sworn in? It is not a difficult one to answer because Jacob Zuma MK party is against Ramaphosa as the president, and they are against Chief Justice Zondo. So they would not want Zondo to swear them in. They wanted to wait until Zondo is gone so that they can be sworn in by another person and not Chief Justice Zondo. For Jacob Zuma, it is very strategic. If he doesn't want you, he's not going to form part of the alliance. Now, Jacob Zuma avoided being sworn in because he did not want Chief Justice to be the man to deal with the members of the MK party. This is what he said on Sunday.
And I'm sorry because I've got a flu, yes. But I thought I should just make some comment on one point. This new thing, the government of national unity. This actually is meaningless. I don't know what it means. Totally meaningless. Totally meaningless. We exercised the government of national unity in South Africa when we had finished agreeing to negotiate and establish the government in South Africa that would be voted by everybody. It had never happened because we had never voted.
That is the short clip of Jacob Zuma actually saying that the GNU, the relationship, the marriage between the ANC and the DA is meaningless. He doesn't believe in what Ramaphosa is trying to achieve, or the ANC, if you will. What is the ANC trying to achieve? You look at it. Ramaphosa avoided the EFF and the MK party because of the fact that they could not agree with each other. He went to the DA. But going to the DA doesn't mean that the relationship will be a good one. One thing we can promise each other and speak about is the fact that it is not going to be long until the DA and the ANC relationship cracks. The GNU is not going to work. The ANC will not tolerate what Helen Zille is going to bring to them, because Helen Zille has been that person who was the leader of the DA. She wanted power. She never got it. Finally, she gets to be in power. It is not going to be the game of John Steenhuisen. It is going to be the game of Helen Zille. So now finally, when you speak about John Steenhuisen, when you speak about the DA, just remember the bigger person in this picture is Helen Zille. And the ANC, they will try to work with Helen Zille, but it will just be a matter of time until they say that enough is enough. So now, in that picture, who do you appoint as the deputy president of South Africa? Because everybody that you see can be a deputy president, but you have to consult with the DA. This is John Steenhuisen with Mama Joy. She actually referring to John Steenhuisen as the incoming deputy president of the country. I'm sure she knows something that we don't know.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here with our favorite Mama Joy, and I want to thank you for helping bring the World Cup trophy back where it belongs, here to South Africa, onto the Olympics next.
Thank you. Did you hear my deputy president? He said, I'm going to the Olympics. Yes, thank you.
She's referring to Fikile Mbalula as the deputy president of South Africa. We know for sure Paul Mashatile is not coming back. He's been useless as the deputy president of South Africa, the same as how Mabuza was not functional as a deputy president. But now we have a deputy president that is going to be chosen, and ANC has to choose someone who's going to be there to challenge the president of South Africa. And that definitely has to be John Steenhuisen. If not John Steenhuisen, that person has to come from the DA. Because the document of the GNU says that ANC, you get a share, and the rest of us also get a share. You got the president, we must get a deputy. I've heard about the Patriotic Alliance saying that they are joining the GNU because ANC called them, but this is the Helen Zille show. Helen Zille is running the show because she said that she's not going to allow the Patriotic Alliance to form part of the government because ANC did not speak with the DA about it. They did not bring it towards DA and IFP to speak about it, meaning that Patriotic Alliance will be sidelined. Now, Patriotic Alliance wrote a letter replying to the utterance of Helen Zille, saying that the federal chairperson Helen Zille yesterday's about utterance by DA Federal Chairperson Helen Zille about the inclusion of the Patriotic Alliance in the government of national unity show that she clearly believes she must have signed an agreement with the ANC. That means the ANC must now do the DA's bidding. It is a long statement which they wrote, but it's more of them saying that what Helen Zille is referring to in terms of the GNU, it means that if the DA doesn't get what they want, it means nothing will happen. And actually, it makes sense because the ANC should have done their homework. They should have known that Helen Zille is not just a puppy. Helen Zille is not someone you can play with. It's someone that you need to respect so that you can get what you need. But in this regard, it seems like the ANC did not do their homework. They are being taught a lesson. Fikile Mbalula has a qualification, leadership skills. That's his qualification. I was saying that they took Fikile Mbalula with a leadership skill and combined him with Helen Zille with a BA degree, Bachelor of Arts. You put those people down, the other one is going to make noise and the other one is going to hit you with points. They gave them a document. Helen Zille read the document. Fikile Mbalula read it. But it seems like he didn't understand what was going on in the document, because had he known that the document that is governing them will need ANC to communicate with the rest of them in order for them to constitute a government, he would have not went to SABC to say that we are calling the Patriotic Alliance. And you wonder in that instance that why do they keep on saying that we are calling this and that? Did they not know that they should have spoken to these people to begin with? Because it seems like they did not put the rest of these people as part of the agreement. They excluded people like the EFF. Of course, when they spoke, it was not about the fact that they're agreeing into GNU. It was more about who can we work with in terms of coalition. The EFF then rejected the proposal of having the DA, which led to the ANC shifting towards the DA, because they knew that there is no way that the ANC, the DA would allow itself to work with EFF or MK. And the ANC also knew that they cannot allow the president to be told to step aside by MK, which was the possibility. Now it gave a way for Helen Zille to dictate what the government would be like. As of now, the main aim of the discussion is who will be the deputy president of South Africa. I think the simple answer would be that John Steenhuisen from the DA is that candidate that would be given the chair of being the deputy president of South Africa. We are in for a party. We are in for something that we have never expected. There was a press conference. Mok says, is it possible for an exit, for someone to exit the GNU, and what then? You know, the information in terms of how does one exit the GNU has not been shared, but I would think that deep down, they must have shared that it can be dissolved if a certain action is done. There is no way that they can create an agreement and never have an escape route. I think part of the agreement would be that if we don't support, if it happens that a matter is brought forward where they say that Ramaphosa need to be removed, a motion of no confidence, if the DA doesn't vote with the ANC, that would mean that GNU becomes non-existent, because the ANC would then pull out to say that you are not going with the party line of that GNU agreement. The DA will have to work with the ANC regardless. Actually, Helen Zille has already said it that when coming to voting for Ramaphosa, if it is the previous thing that we've been told about, actually, Floyd Shivambu did stand up last week to say that we sent a letter to you, Speaker, and we want to start with the motion of confidence in Ramaphosa. His fitness to hold office needs to be questioned regarding the Phala Phala. Now, the DA says that if it happens that the EFF brings that forward in Parliament, we are going to vote with the ANC because that matter has been dealt with. If you rewind just a year or so back, you'd notice that the DA was at the forefront of saying that Ramaphosa must go. They finally got power. They are now tasting the blood of power. They are not going to sit there and say Ramaphosa must still go. They want Ramaphosa to stay because if he goes, it means that GNU will be dissolved, as there won't be any person to be leading. Sibonga says, do you think there is any chance to revote? Definitely not. At this point, even MK has agreed that they are going to form part of government. There was a question actually where people were asking, why are the votes of the NFP not showing not showing 1%? And I think IEC did explain that. And at this point, the MK doesn't have power. MK is that party that had 40%, and the ANC showed them that we are playing politics. Now, that which the ANC has done to the MK, it might be something that will be done to ANC. I was speaking about the relationship of Ramaphosa and the DA, saying that if it happens that the DA doesn't vote with the ANC in terms of Ramaphosa being removed, it means it is done with the GNU. And that is where you might find that the question of revoting might come into the picture, because we might end up not even having a leader. These parties not wanting to agree with each other. The country didn't do justice to any of the party by making sure that there is no one with over 50%. By doing that, they killed the ANC. And I think the ANC, they are thinking that, well, they still have much power, but they don't. And the relationship with DA, if it works, credit will be to the DA. If it fails, then the ANC will be judged. They will be told that you are useless. So they should have been careful when deciding who to marry. Marrying the DA was their biggest mistake. And you can just see, as things have started, it means that they will regret what they have done.
We have collaborated with all sort of political parties in the country since 1994. It's not the first. As we signed the memorandum of intent, we signed it with 4 other parties, and as you know, that other parties have expressed interest and they are joining. So we have set principles in place. We've really looked into our constitution and ensure that we defend the gains of democracy. So I don't think there is anything of selling out in the main. If you look at the framework that has been presented, it's quite balanced and it talks to all the fundamentals of transformation and development in our country. I do not think that there is any purpose from the side of the ANC to sell out.
That is the issue with the ANC. I think they are in denial. You know, when someone is in denial, they will say anything so that it can favor them. The ANC is in denial in terms of what they've just done for themselves. A relationship with the DA, it is good on paper. Anyone can join it. Anyone can sign and praise it. But in action, it is going to be very difficult. I've seen Ramaphosa dancing because finally, he has the chance to work with the DA And I'm sure he believes that the DA is going to protect him no matter what. But the DA is not going to protect Ramaphosa for a long time. Mock only, thank you, my man. We can only do a lot, and I appreciate being part of the live. Lucky Shongo says the president of ANC who said the ancient will I think you want to say that the ANC will govern till Jesus come is the leader of the MK, not the current president. Well, yes, Zuma said ANC will govern until Jesus comes. But politicians say, and all these politicians will say anything because they believe that they have the power. And at that point, to be honest, if he said ANC will govern till Jesus comes, even myself, I wouldn't even have argued with him. ANC was very powerful. Under Thabo Mbeki, ANC was very powerful. Under Jacob Zuma, ANC was powerful. ANC was powerful because Zuma, there are provinces that Zuma is very powerful and he gets a lot of support. He increased the support of the ANC. Zuma going out of the ANC meant those words of until Jesus comes were cancelled. They say those things because they want to appeal to the masses, but we know that ANC is dead. So if really Jesus is coming, it means by 2029 he's coming. Because there is no way that ANC will improve from 40% and go up based on how they are working. If I was someone to advise the ANC, I would have said that think very careful about what you are going to do, especially the relationship with the DA. Now, what the ANC need to do is to go to Fikile Mbalula and say that, Fikile, we know you are the Secretary General, but please, don't just rush towards press conferences. Don't just rush towards answering questions. Think first, because you would put our image in shame. And then run to Helen Zille or the DA and say that you need to stop Helen Zille from talking too much. Because the same thing I was saying about that Ronaldo Gauss guy who's a racist, one can say that Helen Zille also is not careful when she speaks. I cannot necessarily say racist, but I'm saying Helen Zille is one of the people that can steer the emotions of people, especially the black people. She can just go and tweet something that a lot of people are just going to be against. So the ANC needs to go and say that DA, tell Helen Zille to calm down. And then they tell Fikile to calm down, especially what happened yesterday. There was no need for such. Fikile Mbalula was not supposed to rush to the media to say that Patriotic Alliance is coming. And Ramaphosa was not, Helen Zille was not supposed to run and say that, well, the DA, Fikile Mbalula did not read that document. It is still early. It is not even 10 days since they signed. But already, someone is telling Fikile that you don't read. It's like she's saying, we know you got leadership skill, but at least try to read. Now, as much as she exposed what is happening in the camp of the ANC, they need to tone down because people will laugh at what they're trying to do. A relationship that doesn't even have a year old already, they are calling each other's heads. Now, they're going to vote for Steenhuisen to be the deputy president they're going to appoint Steenhuisen as the deputy of the country. For the first time ever since 1994, we'll finally have a DA leader as the deputy president of South Africa. What is it going to mean to South Africa? If Helen Zille can go and say that, Fikile doesn't read, what about John Steenhuisen? He went to, I think it's Durban High School, something like that. He also did not finish matric, according to reports. So if you are saying Fikile Mbalula does not read, and should really be careful in terms of speaking if he did not understand the documents. Is John Steenhuisen going to understand the role of a deputy president? Well, we can't compare him with the ANC. Most of the ANC leaders don't care about education. They care about struggle credentials. If you went to prison for a certain number of years, you are a good leader. If you went to university, you are a leader, but you still need some nurturing. So John Steenhuisen will be the leader, the deputy president of South Africa, without matric. Then we find ourselves with questionable decisions, and people will call out the DA and the ANC for not even delivering to the people of South Africa. I think as the people of South Africa, we had no choice. We had a decision to make between DA, ANC, EFF, MK. If we are being honest, that is not a good choice. There is not one party that you can point from all of them and say that if we can all pick this party and give it over 50%, that would be the best party. There is no great party amongst them. They are all dodgy. And that's what happens with politics. There is never a leader that you can trust. Imagine we had a coalition of ANC, MK party, and the EFF. You would think that because the ideologies are the same, ANC gave birth to EFF, it gave birth to MK, you'd think that it would be a smooth ride, but it would not. Where there is power, you find a lot of people wanting positions. Just remember when the votes were done, there were issues of who is going to be given the position, who is going to be given what. And now what is happening is that they've realized that they cannot get those positions. It is now the issue of, can I join GNU? Don't be surprised in the coming years or in the coming days when you hear that EFF or MK party, one of them is working on joining the GNU. Do not be surprised. Power is something that people need. I want to show you guys one thing that I looked at Gayton and I was like, I'm really thinking of how leaders sometimes deal with issues. The issue of that guy Ronaldo, who's being called out for being racist. So what happened is that Gayton spoke and said that, I think, I'm not sure if I can see that tweet, but he was in defense of him. And then after being called out, remember, you are a leader. You are no longer someone who's trying to break into politics. After being called out, he says, I was wrong about Ronaldo and would like to apologize. Someone very close to him confirmed that he hates black people still and sent us his racist video. I apologize again for coming up for him. I should have kept my ideas of redemption to people that are truly remorseful. That's what we are voting for. Those are the leaders we are voting for, who find time to jump at responding and not coming down just to decide on what is the better approach. I'm saying this because Helen Zille doesn't want Gayton to form part of the GNU. And he doesn't make it easy also by just going on to say to a situation that people are crying about, to say that that guy did not mean any racist thing, and believing in him and supporting him. Suddenly he's making a U-turn because the issue is now on him, and also the DA has just refused him joining them. Politics is something that, if we are being honest, if we go to heaven based on how good we are, no politician should enter heaven, because politicians are people who want to convince us that I am good for you and I'm going to provide what is good for you. But they are after positions. We'll be seeing John Steenhuisen working with Ramaphosa. And I can tell you, it is going to happen that they are not going to deliver. The opposition will be against John Steenhuisen for the views or the actions that he will be held accountable for. Ramaphosa will be called out for the fact that he's a sellout, as they're busy doing that. But the loser will be the ANC. If MK and EFF are wise enough in terms of their strategy, they should focus on being opposition and not even entertain the issue, the idea of joining GNU. Let ANC and the DA fall on their swords, so that when they fall, you can say that, okay, Ramaphosa, the GNU has just died in just less than a year. Now let's work. But to work, we want you to go on retirement and let's lead. Remember, at the moment, there is no leader in the ANC who's going to be, who we can look and say, this is the future president. No one. They are all old. All of the leaders are over 50. And the young ones are not being given a platform. There is such a thing called ANC Youth League. In 2024, you still have a situation where you are calling something a youth league, when you should be taking those people and give them responsibilities. It's like you are saying you are just a young team. Wait until you are 40 before you can be able to, we can tell you that finally you deserve an opportunity to lead. That is the biggest failure of the ANC, not recognizing talent when it's still young, and they go to fight for positions. That is why we find ourselves with John Steenhuisen leading us as the deputy president. That is a fact that you must wait for. Tomorrow will probably be live streaming because Ramaphosa will be announcing his cabinet. If not tomorrow, Friday, definitely. Ramaphosa is going to announce that, unfortunately, I am giving the position of the deputy to the DA, and there will have to be about 3 of the ministry going to the DA also, a large portion to the ANC, and probably 2, 3 to the IFP, and maybe they can give the deputy to the rest of those guys coming, actually, even PAC, which I think PAC should have been cancelled as a political party. They don't bring value. They were forming part of the progressive caucus with the EFF and the MK, and they realized that we are going to starve if we work with EFF and MK, because there is no money there. They decided, let us join with the ANC so that we can form parliament. The floor, yes, that is Ramaphosa's. That's the first lady of the country. Our first lady, she was there by the inauguration of Ramaphosa, which happened today. And I forgot to play that clip when Ramaphosa was given the opportunity to finally be inaugurated as the president. Sorry, this is the video.
In the presence of everyone assembled here, and in full realization of the high calling I assume as President of the Republic of South Africa, I, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and will obey, observe, uphold, and maintain the Constitution and all other law of the Republic. And I solemnly and sincerely promise that I will always promote all that will advance the Republic and oppose all that may harm it. Protect and promote the rights of all South Africans, discharge my duties with all my strength and talents to the best of my knowledge and ability, and true to the dictates of my conscience. Do justice to all and devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and all its people. So help me God.
I would think the prayer that Ramaphosa needs to have now is I'm asking God to help me so that I am not removed before I end my term, because Ramaphosa will not finish his term the same way Thabo Mbeki did not finish his second term, the same way Jacob Zuma did not finish his second term. Ramaphosa will not finish his second term. Ramaphosa will be very lucky if he goes for 2 years as the president of South Africa. The DA is just wasting for time. They are just waiting for some time so that everybody can settle in. As soon as that is done, the DA is going to call for the head of Ramaphosa. And it's going to be a mutual agreement. You'll have the ANC people saying that Ramaphosa is selling us out, he must go. You'll have the people of IFP agreeing the DA will be leading that. And that provides the opportunity for John Steenhuisen to be the president of South Africa. People are not aware that for the DA is a takeover. At this point, the ANC must read each and every fine print, because there might be a clause there that says if Ramaphosa doesn't perform, the president comes from the DA. I am worried if they could not find out an information that says that for people to invite the rest of the parties, they must communicate with everyone first. If they could not find that, what tells us that they are not going to find any information that might be damaging to Ramaphosa being the president for over a year? If they're not careful, Ramaphosa might find himself on the bench, going on retirement, and joining the likes of Jacob Zuma. So he must be very careful for the takeover of the DA. They mean business. Imagine being as an opposition for a long time, only for you to work with the party on the GNU and never get the position of a president. I don't think that's what the ANC, that's what the DA wants. The DA wants power, and they are going to get it. Ask yourself one question. Why would the DA say, I don't want a relationship with EFF or MK? If they are in, I'm out. Why would they do that? If really the spirit is, let us work together so that we can create something that is going to work for all of us. If the spirit is that, let us work together, they would have accepted them to say that, well, Julius, let us put our differences aside. Jacob Zuma, come on, let us agree with each other. Leave Ramaphosa to be the president. Let's work together. Knowing very well that soon Ramaphosa would leave. If the DA wanted peace, they would have done that. The DA doesn't want peace. They want the head. Ramaphosa gets the opportunity to lead. When the DA says time is up, Ramaphosa will be removed as the leader. And he's not going to involve any lot of noise from the ANC about can we not. They are going to vote. The DA is going to convince the rest of them. And once that is done, it is over for the ANC. The ANC will be history. Nothing lasts forever. The movement of 1912, if I stand to be corrected, the movement of Oliver Tambo, the movement of Nelson Mandela will be history, because the DA will be the distraction of that movement that we all thought that it is going to govern until Jesus comes. Jesus is coming, and the ANC will lose power. They could have done it better, but Jacob Zuma didn't give it to them. That is why you see what happened in KZN. It is not because the ANC is hungry for power. It is because the ANC wants to give back what Jacob Zuma gave to them. That lemon that Jacob Zuma gave to the ANC by taking around 10% of their votes. The ANC is doing the MK party the favor to say that you shamed us. We are shaming you by refusing you to get KZN. With 40% that you had, you just needed 1% from the NFP, but they couldn't get it because the ANC said that NFP, you give us KZN, we're going to give you positions in government. It is the politics of stomach. All political leaders, all politicians want money. If it was not about money, we would have had politicians who don't want to get paid. Politicians would just say, I'm getting a free house, I'm getting this thing, these packages, I don't need payment. But they need payment and they still need tenders. That was tells you that when coming to politics, no one is sane. They are all dirty. So now we are heading into a takeover of the DA. The closing is that John Steenhuisen will be the deputy president. Ramaphosa is the president. The rest of them will just be surprised on why is this one back? Why is that one back? Already we know Bekele won't be that police minister. They can look at someone they can get. I saw a DA, I forgot that guy, a DA member of parliament who Bekele used to shout at him. I think it's Ian Cameron, something like that. I'm not sure. I saw him as a member of parliament, and people said, this is the incoming police minister. If that is not the takeover of the DA, I don't know. Because the DA, they sat down and realized we need people that are going to take over, and people are not going to see the difference. Breitenbach, they want Breitenbach to get a good position, because for them it is not now, it's the future before the elections, so that people can believe in the DA and forget about the ANC. It is a handsball for the ANC, but we wait to see and hear what the president of South Africa will say. I don't have much to add, guys. If you have any question or if you have discussions in terms of the topic, you can do so. Otherwise, it might just be an 1 hour stream. I just thought we could have a discussions in terms of what is happening to our politics, to our country. The rand is behaving better because it likes who's in leadership. Put MK as the only political party or the EFF as the only political party. Rand is going to collapse. But, well, rand is shining because the DA takeover is in effect. They've just put the car on gear number 2. It's going to gear number 3. Once it goes to gear number 4, Ramaphosa will be history. Gear number 5, ANC will be a shadow of its former self and will have DA to vote for in 2029. The only Napa says, would you rather have Dudu Zille as the Minister of Finance? I think that will never happen. She will never be closer to being a Minister of Finance, and especially for the fact that she hasn't been much in politics. Mtobisi, we don't engage with the people like you. As soon as you start saying someone is talking nonsense and you go to have an opinion, we have a problem there because you'd want us to listen to your opinion, calling us nonsense. So in that point, you must just question yourself. So on the point of finance minister, look at the issue of EFF and Floyd Shivambu. They said they would like to get that position of finance minister to Floyd because he's the most deserving of them all. And I don't disagree with it, but what I have to say in terms of it is that once you have leaders who are new into positions, you ought to give them an experience in terms of, if I say that, for example, it would have been fitting to get, if the EFF was in the GNU, it would be fitting to give Floyd Shivambu the Deputy Minister of Finance, and not just rush him into being the Finance Minister. Let him learn how things run, and let him make mistake as the deputy, so that if you give him that position of the Minister of Finance, he's not going to make the mistake. He's going to know how things run. Now, the issue is that in politics, if you are a comrade, and if you've been in the struggle, and if they trust you, they give you any position, and they hire people who are going to help you run that position that you have, that is where we end up having issues that our country is running backwards in terms, instead of going forward. And in that note, guys, I thank you for forming part of the live stream. I'm sure tomorrow or Friday we are going to have a long live stream, because we are going to wait for the president of South Africa for more than 3 hours, as he will be consulting on who to appoint as that person who's going to be helping him run the country, from deputy minister, from deputy president, up until the minister of finance. We'll be waiting for that. I thank you a lot, guys, for playing a role and being part of the live stream. Maybe before you go, you can just click that like button if you did not. Otherwise, I'm thankful that you form part of the live stream. And let us have this again tomorrow. If the president won't be announcing his cabinet, we'll still make another live stream. So let us meet again, and you can just click that notification bell, so that when we go live, you'd be part of the live stream. Thank you, guys, and